We've discussed it before, but I don't think it's ever been more true than it is today. The DOJ is absolutely off the rails. The wheels are off the wagon. The inmates are fleeing the asylum. How are you, Mike?
Hey man, how you doing, Jason? Good to
Good.
be back with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Let's
we've
go.
just had a sort of a late announcement. People can read about it on truepundit.com, but it seems that President Trump is tweeting and the DOJ is fleeing, at least certain members of the DOJ are fleeing. There's this whole dust up over the Roger Stone sentencing. What's going on with this, Mike?
Well, it's chaos. I told people that this is going to happen. I've been saying that the good part. I've been saying this for a year and a half. The good things were going to happen when these guys started ratting on each other and ratting each other out and turning on each other, and that's what has to happen. There has to be chaos before there can be any reform or any hope of reform. So we're seeing some. We had a story. We just moved that story. That was from Axios. They have a scoop. We just moved that. But there was a story earlier today that we have on DOJs and chaos. And a guy from Justice told me there's so many different tugs of war going on, so many little wars going on inside the Justice Department that's all effed up. Literally said effed up. And that's what I've been working for. That's what we've been working, because we understand that this has to happen if we're going to see any big changes. And
Right.
small changes in the DOJ are not going to help us as a country, not going to help the direction as a country. Little baby steps. We're beyond baby steps. We need massive, massive
Real
advances,
reform.
massive steps. Yeah, we need real reform. And Barr, he might have to be, drug kicking and screaming into getting it done, or he's going to be, he's going to be the next guy on the street.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe Trump is waking up and trying to get. I think he's waking up and trying to get control of the situation of the Justice Department. It's taken him 3.5 years now. We're in the 3.5 year range, basically,
Yeah.
or a little bit over 3 years. But by the time the dust settles out, you're at 3.5 years. To understand that, hey, I'm not running the Justice Department, and my people are not running the Justice Department. And I've said this. I said it on a podcast. I've said it way more times on here. He may think he's running the Justice Department, but he definitely has not been.
Yeah.
There's no way. It hasn't.
It's been
It
running
just
him
hasn't
until
happened.
last week.
Well, yeah, it's been running him, and the folks that he's picked as his sentinels, Sessions and Barr, they just simply haven't gotten the job done. As simple as that. There could be all types of debates about these guys, but you just take a very corporate approach to it, right? They're not getting the job done. Whatever the reasons are, whatever the backstory is, it's as simple as that. They haven't had his best interest in mind, and anybody who argues that Barr has had his best interest in mind thus far hasn't been paying attention, or they don't understand the complete landscape of Washington, D.C. and the Justice Department and how things are supposed to work. And people could say, well, there's a lot of Clinton holdovers and things in justice. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Justice definitely leans left. But the fact that Barr didn't know that these sentencing recommendations were coming down on Roger Stone the way they came out, and then Barr snapped today and said it's way out of control. Why didn't you know about that? Why are you being caught off guard by that? Because you're not paying attention, or you just don't care, right?
But is he really
It's as
caught
simple as
off
that.
guard, Mike? Isn't that just sort of like ASCAP type conversation? I mean, he's got to know what's going on. Perhaps something was said to him outside the realm of what's being reported in newspapers that's caused him to change his attitude.
Well, I mean, you could look at it both ways, okay? What's going to unfold in the next day or so is going to be the left now, and all the usual suspects on the left saying that Barr, this was a knee-jerk reaction by Barr to reduce the sentencing recommendations on Stone because Trump tweeted. And there probably could have been some definite better coordination there, I would think, unless, I'm going to put it out there, unless a guy like Barr is trying to sell him down the river and create problems for Trump, right? Why was this coordinated the way that it was? It seems very bizarre to me. That and and I guess more importantly to me, right? And we're going to talk about it later tonight when we get kicking on Patreon. Because what are we doing here? Like a preview? Is that what we're doing?
Well, we're doing a little introduction
On
maybe
YouTube.
for
Yeah,
for
right.
people who don't
Introduction. But
know about More Paine every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. They can watch it on patreon.com/truepundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. That's coming up in just about 25 minutes.
What you're seeing here is a definite tug of war going on, and I think it's fascinating. It's unfolding today as we speak.
Unprecedented.
I was getting ready to do the show, and boom, there it was. More stories are breaking, and I'm scrambling around trying to read up on things, and we're trying to get the most recent story we just posted from Mike Allen over there. Mike Allen's a good journalist. He runs it. He founded Axios, and they got a good scoop on that Trump savaged Lou, the former U.S. attorney of. He actually told her that he was going to appoint her to a new position, and then she resigned as U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. And then he just told her, "You're out, beat it. You're not getting the new position." So she's but she's the one who indicted Flynn and Manafort and Stone. So you're seeing this kind of massacre Tuesday, so to speak. But what's really happening is, I think Trump finally is trying to get control of the situation here, because he made it through the crucible of impeachment, and unless he gets this DOJ under control, I think he's going to continue to have massive problems. And if I were him, and I think he probably subscribes to this, what does he have to lose? They already tried to throw him out, tried to throw him out of Washington. So now you have to settle some scores. But like kind of a higher note, it's also a little bit dangerous. See, I can go a lot of different ways quickly, because I think I understand things pretty well when it comes to these guys. But last night, the story broke that Stone is facing 7 to 9 years in jail, federal prison, based on DOJ sentencing recommendations. And then less than like 12 hours later, they're saying, well, that's out of control. We can't, it's too heavy handed, and we can't, right. We have to reformulate those. Right. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell kind of Justice Department is this? If the president tweets, let's just say, now to set it up, Justice said, we already decided behind the scenes that it was too heavy handed. And then Trump tweeted something out, and it makes it look like Justice was responding to Trump's tweet. Regardless, let's just say that's true, right? Yeah. Or if it's not true. Either way, what the hell kind of Justice Department just decides things on a crazy whim, and then the next day they can reduce a sentencing recommendation by 60, 70%? What is going on? This is, whether you like Roger Stone or not, and I'm not like a close confidant of Roger Stone like a lot of guys are, right? We keep to ourselves over here, mostly because a lot of guys are getting indicted, right? And we don't want to have associates with any. We don't need. I don't need to have friendships, associations with these people, indictments, or I've been down that road, because we don't need these people to get our information, because we have our other sources. Like, so we're complete. I think we're one of the most independent news organizations out there on the right, because we don't need to hang out in a clique to be retweeted and to get information and to retweet this guy's story and he'll retweet her. We just put the information out that we get from our sources, and that's how we roll. But what kind of a Justice Department can like play with a man's freedom, whether it's Stone or whoever, mine, yours? aren't we supposed to have something a little bit better in place when it comes to sentencing guidelines? Not this like grab bag or potluck dinner where you could be going away for 10 years or you could be going away for 3 years. What the hell is going on here? Does that make any sense?
Well, I mean, what you're saying makes sense. What the DOJ is doing makes basically no sense. The other interesting thing that happened is that Jussie Smollett has now been indicted on 6 counts. I listen to a lot of like lawyer podcasts now, and you can learn some interesting stuff from that. I spoke to some friends who are lawyers about going to law school, and they advised against it, but they were talking about in this legal podcast, Jussie Smollett's lawyers have, he's basically he's subpoenaed the city of Chicago to get information about past cases and how corrupt they are and how they handle this kind of stuff. And it seems that the city of Chicago is striking back by indicting the guy. Now, I think Jussie Smollett deserves to be indicted. I think he lied about that attack, and I think he tied up police resources and wasted a lot of time. But it's this vindictive kind of justice. I would prefer to see blind justice.
Well, I mean, you can make an argument for Smollett with that, for sure. But I think that it's a little bit bigger. Smollett tried to embarrass the Chicago Police Department, and so did the city attorney. They colluded with Smollett, and you could argue a top associate of the Obamas, and maybe even Kamala Harris was behind the scenes working on this. And basically some kind of scheme to embarrass the Chicago Police Department. Even, charges were dismissed and stuff. And Chicago PD is saying, this is stupid. We got this guy dead to rights. So we're not gonna be embarrassed by these cronies, these Obama cronies or whoever they are, because this guy cooked up a scheme. Look, this guy Smollett's a bird brain.
Yeah.
He says he's attacked by white people, and then he's got two Nigerian brothers, not like brothers like we're hanging out in the hood, but they're literally brothers,
actual
like
fraternal.
by birth. They're brothers, and these guys are like weightlifters, okay, and they're not white. They have Nigerian descent. I think some people say, well, they are Americans, okay, but they speak with an accent. They're from Nigeria, right? So, what kind of scheme was this bird brain cooking up, where he says he was attacked by white people, and then he found Nigerian white people? I guess the New York Times would describe them probably as Nigerian white people. Well, they called George Zimmerman a white Hispanic. So I'm just going by,
Somehow these guys remind me of Milli Vanilli. Maybe it's the pose they're in. They're just sort of like, girl, it's true.
I don't know what's going on there, but Milli Vanilli. Well, I don't know. They better be able to lip sync in prison.
They're the Milli Vanilli of ass kicking. It's all fake.
but I think these guys probably cut a deal for themselves to get out of trouble, because they saw that this guy was, throwing them under the bus, and they said, all right, well, we'll talk. Yeah. This guy put us up to it. And they're like, okay, now the Chicago PD's like, all right, we have a case. And then it gets politicized. Then the feds come in. Why did the FBI come in on this case? Brad Wing from the Chicago FBI, child exploitation, sexual predator investigator, renowned child trafficking FBI investigator. Why does he come in on that case? He came in on that case early, man. I mean, we talked about that earlier.
Right. Has anybody other than True Pundit said anything about that, Mike?
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't brain surgery. We found the guy. They were referring to TFO wing in the police memos, and TFO means task force officer. And you know that if it's not saying Chicago CPD detective or CPDO, Chicago Police Department officer, or Chicago Police Department investigator or detective, the TFO means it's on task force. And then when you start making some calls, you find out, oh yeah, that's Brad Wing. He works for the FBI. So what's he doing in on the case?
Yeah.
And then we come to find out that, this clown was calling Kamala Harris within like a day or two or three
Smollett
of getting
was.
pinched.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why do you think Kamala Harris was the first to drop out of the run for president? Because I'm telling you, this is the word on the street. Like, it's already out there. This isn't like, oh yeah, that buzz has been going on.
Something much
and
bigger
is that why the
happening
FBI
with
came in?
Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, is that why the FBI came in to shut that down and be like, whoa, we can't let it, because the FBI also is known to protect these people more than they prosecute them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that seems to be all
the
they
rich
do.
and famous and the elites. Yeah,
Get him
exactly.
into a jail cell where he can, not hang himself.
So I think there was a tug of war going on between the FBI there and the Chicago Police Department, and then the Chicago Police Department and the city attorney's office. And it looks like the Chicago Police Department might be winning it, which does make sense because don't forget, at any moment they could just start releasing a lot of evidence and say, "Oh, okay, they won't prosecute. Look what we got. Look what we got here. Look what we got there."
I mean, also, Mike, it's got to be the case. Chicago PD. I mean, that's not some Mickey Mouse operation. Those guys are dealing with some of the toughest crime. I mean, that's a very serious law enforcement organization.
Well, Illinois, whatever, however you say it. Sometimes people say it differently, but not known as the, whitest glass of milk, so to speak, or the Boy Scout state.
Right.
Going back and looking at organized crime and prohibition and Capone and that whole group. Some people would argue also that the NFL has roots in Chicago, and that has roots in organized crime too. If you reflect on Jessica Savage's report for PBS Frontline in 1983, I think it was I consider a historic piece of journalism, that Chicago isn't the altar boy of the century. You know what I mean? So it has been known to be a little corrupt. Mayor Daley, that whole scheme, the original Mayor Daley, and Rahm Emanuel, and the list goes on, and Obama's from there, of course, and
Days of Rage,
Rod
Bernardine Dorn, Bill Ayers. But Mike, I gotta pause you here for a second, because we're just minutes away here from making the transition over to our sponsor-exclusive show on patreon.com/truepundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We're not monetizing these shows on YouTube. A lot of people have been listening to the Thomas Paine podcast, and you can get that on iTunes and Google Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you get it. But this information, it doesn't collect itself. And running an operation like True Pundit or Crowdsource the Truth, we really need the support of the viewing public. So rather than having some outside corporation or huge billionaire, sponsor these shows and have this kind of financial influence over the reporting, we're counting on you. So the people watching right now are the sponsors, and you're going to enjoy a huge library of exclusive content on Patreon and Subscribestar. So I hope people will join us over there, Mike. I'll see you in just 10 minutes. Anything you want to say before we close out?
Yeah, good stuff. Oh yeah, we're gonna be dropping some news tonight, like we always do. We always seem to break news on this show, and there's so much to do on a regular basis that it's hard not to. Things are leaking out of the bucket, so to speak, on any given day. And especially today, there's a lot of stuff leaking out of the bucket. So I look forward to talking about it. And you can't fit it all. You
can't fit it all in one show. Do you still have that deal going on the book?
Yeah, the deal's still on the book. Yeah. You buy a book, you send you buy a paperback, you send a screenshot to promo@truepundit.com, and we send you a $50 gift card for shirts, hoodies, hats, whatever you want. So it's a pretty good deal. You buy the book, which helps us.
Get it from Amazon,
and then we
right?
send you, from Amazon, and then we send you a gift card for libertyoutfitters.co. Then you can get all kind of different gear from there. So it's still going on. We're still plugging away.
That's a great deal for
Thanks
people.
for bringing
So,
that up. I forgot
yeah,
about
no problem.
that. Yeah.
I like to let everybody know about this stuff because, you know, we can't just keep going on Ether or whatever. So we'll see everybody over on Patreon and Subscribestar. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you there.
Thanks, man.